right, so suddenly the Vikings are atop the NFC North Division with a record of 4-2-1 after beating the New York Jets out in New York. Or my apologies, New Jersey. I know how you folks get about that. In New Jersey, the Minnesota Vikings beat the New York Jets. Final score of 37-17. Record of 4-2-1. They're atop the NFC North Division. What a turnaround for them. Winning 3 games in a row. Good job on that. And I've got quite a few praises to go around. And it's funny because the Chicago Bears, they lost. They could have won their game or possibly took the game against the New England Patriots out in Soldier Field to overtime. They were this close. They were so close. They lost in a fashion that the Vikings would lose. I know they're NFC North Division rival. I kind of feel bad for them the way that they lost because Mitch Trubisky connected on a Hail Mary pass to Kevin White, and he almost got in the end zone. He got stopped at like 6 inches or maybe a yard out from the end zone with time expiring. So they ended up losing. So anyway, that's good for the Vikings overall. They're atop the NFC North Division. Good stuff. So I've got a couple of praises to give around. I really only got 2 bits of criticism to give on this Vikings team and that performance on Sunday against the Jets. But really, I've got a lot of praise to pass around. Let's start with this offensive line. The offensive line, they've been the easy punching bag. They've been the worst unit of this entire team, quite honestly, for the last 5 or 6 years or so, except for last year. They were actually pretty good. But collectively, for the most part, the offensive line has been a major question mark, and this year was no different. And I thought this game against the New York Jets, they really stood out. My thing as far as the running game against the Arizona Cardinals, they make any running back look good. That's why I was like, I'm not ready to say that the run blocking is back. But, hey, 2 straight games, and I know the Jets are banged up, but Leonard Williams was still out there. The running game was awesome. The run blocking was awesome. This was their best, most complete game of the season by far on both aspects of the offense. In run blocking, they were really good. I know they only tallied up, 24 carries total for this team for 88 yards. It felt like they got 100 rushing yards, quite honestly, so they ended up with 3.7 yards per carry. I will take that. And then not only that, quickly switching to the defensive line, they held the New York Jets. They were 7th in rushing going into this game with, I believe, about 127 rushing yards per game. And they held them under 100 rushing yards. They held them to 24 carries for 71 yards. So that's 3 yards per carry. So good stuff on that. But going back on the offensive line, run blocking was excellent. And pass protection was really, really good. Even with Rashad Hill playing at left tackle and Tom Compton going down, Danny Isidora, he filled in for him. I thought the run blocking and the offensive line pass protection was really, really good. Brian O'Neill, he's been very solid, very good ever since he's played, even in the preseason and a couple of games that he's played in this regular season. And now he started, I believe, the last 2 games against the Cardinals and the New York Jets this Sunday. And let me give out something real quick. Let me say something real quick. Am I wrong about my criticism on the Vikings drafting Brian O'Neill in the 2nd round? Absolutely not. And let me preface it by saying this. Last season on this podcast, I got right up on here and said that the Minnesota Vikings would crush the Carolina Panthers at Bank of America Stadium. I said that they would do that, and you couldn't tell me nothing. I said this Mike Zimmer-led defense, they're going to shut Cam Newton down because I think he's overrated as a quarterback. They'll beat them by double digits. They'll never lose another game for the rest of the regular season. I even offered up a free gift card to Liz, to one random person that shared my podcast on Facebook, and Gene Kriesel. I hope you enjoyed it very well. But the point is, they beat the Minnesota Vikings. They shut me the hell up. I got up on this podcast the very next day and said, look, I was wrong. Hey, they made me look stupid. Kudos and credit to the Carolina Panthers. I'm not above being wrong. I'm not right every single time. I'm going to be wrong sometimes. It's actually what makes this pretty fun. I'm not a know-it-all. I will get up on this podcast and admit when I'm wrong every single time. I've got no ego like that. Having said that, against this Brian O'Neill pick, my criticism against this was twofold. Number one, our right tackle position was not a position of need. Our right tackle position was already solid with Mike Remmers there. Our main position that we needed to address on the offensive line was right guard. And guess what? Taking Brian O'Neill didn't address the right guard spot. It's still a weakness on this offensive line. Number two, my thing was, I never criticized Brian O'Neill as a player. In fact, he fits his skill sets fits perfectly, and I've said this multiple times. His skill sets fit perfectly for this Vikings zone blocking scheme. I've said that multiple times. And number three, if it was up to you guys, he would have not played, and I mean the front office and the coaching staff of the Minnesota Vikings. If it was up to you guys, he wouldn't have played at all this season. Y'all deemed him not ready to play and thought Rashad Hill was better than him ahead of the depth chart. That's what you guys did. And the only reason he's playing right now is because Riley Reef got hurt and Rashad Hill had to switch to left tackle, and Brian O'Neill has filled in since then. As far as I'm concerned right now, once Riley Reef comes back, whenever he does come back, Brian O'Neill needs to be the starting right tackle. Rashad Hill needs to go back on the bench. But kudos to him for stepping up and looking good. That offensive line, they were fantastic. Adam Thielen, 7 straight games to start the season with at least 100 reception yards. He finished the day with 9 catches. I thought he had 10 catches. 9 catches for 110 yards, 12.2 yards average, and 1 touchdown, along of 34. So he caught 9 of 10 targets. So good stuff from him. As far as the running backs, Latavius Murray, Rock Thomas, Mike Boone, they all did a phenomenal job today. Kudos to them. On defense, Stephen Weatherly, man. Stephen Weatherly and Jaron Kearse, they've been pleasant surprises so far for this Vikings team. Stephen Weatherly has done a very, very good job filling in for, I guess technically he's filling in for Danielle Hunter on that left side at the left end, because Danielle Hunter is technically filling in for Everson Griffin on the right end. But Stephen Weatherly, he's made plays all season long ever since he's had to step in for that left end spot. He had a pass deflection like 10 or 15 yards down the field away from the line of scrimmage. So good job to him on that. Jaron Kearse, he's been making plays as well. The linebackers, they went after Anthony Barr. He made a couple of plays. And speaking of Anthony Barr, I think we're going to be just fine with Eric Wilson's filling in for him however long that Anthony Barr is going to be out. So we'll have to see how that plays out. If it were up to me, he would have been traded and you wouldn't have to deal with this problem, but that's neither here nor there. Eric Kendricks, he made a couple of plays, a really nice couple of plays as well. There were a couple of plays that he got beat on, like that wheel route by that running back. I think his name is Cannon. Is it Isaiah Cannon? I don't remember. Maybe that's the NBA player I'm thinking about. But I know his last name is Cannon. He filled in for Bilal Powell because Bilal Powell got hurt early in that game, so he filled in for him. But Eric Kendricks, for the most part, he did really, really well. Trey Waynes, man, the last 2 games, he's been really, really good. He's always been good in the running game as far as getting those surefire tackles, but he's made a nice couple of plays in pass coverage as well. He had the interception. Good job to him on that. I believe, Harrison Smith, can't forget about him. Harrison Smith, forget the interception. What I really loved about Harrison Smith today was that play that he broke up, that deep ball that he broke up. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the receiver was in front of him. I don't remember what receiver that was, but the receiver was in front of him. And he fought through that ball all the way till they got to the ground. Right before the receiver's shoulder hit the ground, before they could rule him down by contact, stripped the ball out. Harrison Smith on the deep pass reminds me so much. And look, I'm going to say this guy's name. I get it. He's a scumbag. He's a POS. This dude, as far as I'm concerned, he's in jail right now. He can be in jail the rest of his life. I won't even give a damn. But in terms of football, in terms of his play on the football, Harrison Smith, when it comes to the deep pass plays that he breaks up, he reminds me a lot of Darren Sharper. Darren Sharper, when deep passes would go off against him, I was not concerned one bit. I said he's either going to intercept that ball or he's going to break it down. Harrison Smith is so good. I compare him to a center fielder in baseball all the time because in the deep ball, he can cover it like there's no other safety in the league. I think he's the best safety in the league. But anyway, that's why he reminds me of Darren Sharper. So really, that's it. Mike Zimmer, credit to this dude. The play calling, the defensive play calling has really stepped up ever since that Eagles game. I think he's been really, really solid. I thought that he lost the team, but he's at least picked up and it got this defense looking a little bit closer each week, getting this defense to look a little bit closer like it did in 2017. Xavier Rhodes, there may be some issues. If he's going to be out for a while, my thing is I would have traded for Patrick Peterson last week, but that's neither here nor there. If Xavier Rhodes is out for a while, there could be some cause for concern, especially going up against the Saints team. Drew Brees is not going to let you get away with having second or third string cornerbacks out there on the field. Holton Hill, he had a nice interception, but going up against this Saints team, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. The thing I like about Drew Brees, he's short. I don't know if he's technically 6 feet or maybe 5'11", but what makes him so great, he adjusts for his height. With most quarterbacks you see when they throw, they stay on the balls of their feet and they can just do a simple boom motion. They can just do a simple boom right over the shoulder. But with Drew Brees, what makes him so special, he adjusts for his height. Right before he's about to release the ball, he's on the balls of his feet too, but he does a quick lift right before he throws the ball. So basically it puts him at 6'2", or maybe even 6'3" before he passes that ball. That's how he makes up for it without getting the balls getting batted down all the time despite his height. So that's good stuff. We'll have to see how they do against the Saints. But 3 wins in a row by this Vikings team, very, very impressive. My only 2 criticisms really is for 2 people. Number 1, John DeFilippo. And I guess this can really go to Kirk Cousins too. John DeFilippo and Kirk Cousins. I know that the final score 37-17. You look at the box score and you're like, well, they scored 37 points. What's the problem? They put up all these points for a large chunk of this game. It was extra, not even extra conservative play calling. You were basically forfeiting possessions, giving the ball back to the Jets. I just don't understand it. Endless screen pass after ineffective screen pass, bootleg play action, throwing a bootleg play action to Stephon Diggs at the line of scrimmage. Hey, get yards after the catch. I don't get that. It was so ineffective. They kept doing that all game long. So many 3rd and long situations. There was one place where they were deep in their own territory, and Kirk Cousins nearly got a safety. Just inawareness, just ineffectiveness, holding on to the ball for too long. I don't want to hear about the win, damn it. I've seen this come up on Twitter and Facebook a couple of times. I get that it was high wins, but I'm sorry. Last time I checked, if you have a strong arm, that can counteract the strong wins right there. Kirk Cousins has a damn strong arm. Number 2, I get that the deep ball will be affected by it. I get that. No sweat off my back. But last time I checked, there are plenty of other options that you can do besides screen pass after freaking screen pass that the defense of the Jets kept picking up on to where suddenly they were expecting it. And we were expecting it as the fans that were watching it. I don't understand why they kept doing that. Last time I checked, why can't you do a 7-yard curl route? Why can't you do a 5-and-in route? Why can't you do a slant route, a drag route, something else other than screen pass? Like I said, Adam Thielen had 9 catches for 110 yards. Oh, I'm sorry. You're throwing the ball to him in stride despite the wins. I'm sorry. Why? Oh, did Adam Thielen was 90 of his 110 yards? Was that after the catch, after the line of scrimmage? Absolutely not. But to everybody else, you were extra conservative. That's not going to get it done. And you know what? I said flip the last couple of weeks. I thought it had a brilliant play calling scheme the last couple of games. But this game, I just don't understand. And don't talk to me about win. Like I said, there's been plenty of players. There's so many quarterbacks that play on a consistent basis in outside fields and outside stadiums in the upper Northeast region or the Midwest region. Aaron Rodgers plays in Lambeau Field. You don't think it's windy out there sometimes? Ben Roethlisberger he's had 3 Super Bowl appearances. He's won 2 Super Bowl championships. He plays in Heinz Field. Eli Manning, I know he's been playing like garbage the last couple years, but when he went on those rolls before going to win those 2 championships, he had to play out in New York. He's used to playing out in that outdoor stadium. Kirk Cousins, you spent your first, 6 years in your career playing at FedEx Field. It gets cold and it gets windy out there too. John DeFilippo, there's no excuse for you either, dude. You came from coaching the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link. Outdoor stadiums in the upper Northeast region. It doesn't get windy out there too? How many times? Andy Dalton, I know he's been playing like garbage too. He's very overrated as far as I'm concerned. But the Cincinnati Bengals has had a lot of winning seasons with Andy Dalton as the quarterback. It gets windy out there too. There's no excuses. So what are we supposed to do? You're a professional NFL quarterback. Oh, guess what? It's windy, guys. Throw screens all day. Nothing we can do about it. Get out of here. You can throw intermediate passes all day long. Don't settle for these gadget plays where you're forfeiting possessions. That's my only gripe. John DeFilippo, you need to get it together, man, because against the Saints team, and I get it, it's at US Bank Stadium, it's in a dome, so it'll all be good. But Kirk Cousins, you played in outdoors. Flip, you coached in outdoors for a lot of your career. There's no excuses. Kirk Cousins, you got to get with it, man. Too many indecisive plays. The deep passes, I'm not worried about it. I get the win can play a factor. But the win doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden, you can't do anything else but throwing balls at the line of scrimmage. That is inexcusable. But other than that, three straight wins, I'm good with it, man. So anyway, we do this once a week. Mediokr Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. You can follow me on YouTube, iTunes, on Twitter at Realistic_Randy, or Facebook at Realistic Randy. We will see you next week, baby.
Is T1.